Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our dear viewers, and welcome to Truth in Islam. Today we are going to delve into the story of one of the greatest prophets, Abraham, father of all the prophets, a story that transcends time and illuminates our understanding of faith, courage, and total submission to Allah. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, Truth in Islam, like this video, share it with your loved ones, and to leave your comments and suggestions. Ask yourself this question: am I willing to put my faith first, even in the face of the most difficult trials? From his earliest memories, Ibrahim was unlike other children of his time. He carried in his eyes the sparkle of curiosity, and in his heart the burning desire to understand the essence of existence. While others indulged in the rituals and customs of their people, he would look up at the night sky and lose himself in the contemplation of the stars, fascinated by their beauty, but unable to offer him lasting answers. The moon that shone one night and disappeared the next, the sun that rose majestically only to disappear below the horizon. All this awakened in him a profound question. How could these finite creatures deserve eternal worship? Every movement of the heavens seemed to whisper to his soul that truth was not to be found in the ephemeral, but in the eternal, unchanging, and transcendent. Ibrahim already experienced at a young age the tension between popular culture and the inner call to truth, a tug-of-war that many of us still experience today in our modern societies, where beliefs, ways of thinking, and ideologies come and go like the stars he observed. In his meditative isolation, he confronted his ideas with those of his father and his people, aware that his quest for truth could place him in opposition to those close to him, to those he loved and respected. But he knew that no fear should eclipse the light of faith. The Qur'an powerfully recounts this inner boldness. And when Abraham said to his father and his people, "I disavow what you worship," Surah Maryam, 1941. This was not a futile act of rebellion, but the manifestation of an awakened conscience that refuses to sacrifice truth for the comfort of conformity. One can almost feel Ibrahim standing in the silence of the desert nights, scanning the constellations, letting his thoughts travel between the apparent beauty of the world and the invisible reality that transcends it, meditating on the Creator who is beyond all he sees. And it is here that the story takes on a universal resonance. We too, in our modern lives, are confronted with belief systems, ideologies imposed by culture, education, the media, and sometimes even by our families and friends. Every day we are faced with choices to follow the simplest path, that of unquestioning acceptance, or to dare to scrutinize the truth behind the veil of appearances. Ibrahim still challenges us today through his silent but powerful example. Are we really seeking the truth, or are we content with what is easy, popular, and socially accepted? His reflection on the cosmos, on the sky, on the cycles of the moon and the sun was not simply a scientific meditation, but a spiritual meditation, an intimate dialogue with Allah, an exercise in discernment between what is finite and what is infinite, between what changes and what remains. And in this questioning, we are invited to join his inner journey, to cast our own gaze on our inner and outer universe, to scrutinize the stars of our lives, to question our beliefs and our certainties, to awaken within us this flame that never goes out, this light of reason guided by pure faith. For Ibrahim, through his contemplation of the heavens and his courage to oppose the worship of creatures, leaves us a timeless legacy, that of seeking with sincerity, of doubting with humility, and of opening ourselves to the guidance of Allah, even when everything around us seems ephemeral and uncertain. Ibrahim, known for his wisdom and foresight, offers us a rare model of embodied faith, a faith that does not waver in the face of trials, a faith that rises above fear, human logic, and personal comfort. Imagine him, alone with his heart stretched out toward Allah, confronted with an order that defies everything he holds sacred and intimate, to sacrifice his own son, the one he loved deeply, the one who carried the legacy of his lineage and his divine promise. The scene, though recounted in simple words in the Qur'an, resonates with an intensity that only the silence of the desert or the solitude of the heart can contain. It is not just a test of loyalty or courage, it is an examination of the very depth of faith, a mirror in which every soul can see itself in its moments of doubt and resilience. Ibrahim does not argue, he does not procrastinate. He accepts with absolute humility and certainty that the will of Allah takes precedence over all human reasoning. He knows that what? That the will of Allah takes precedence over all human reasoning. He knows that what seems impossible to the limited mind of man is perfectly possible to the all-knowing. And as he prepares his heart and hands to carry out the command, one can almost feel the tension between human pain and divine trust, a delicate balance between fatherly love and total submission. The Qur'an reminds us of his constant yearning for guidance and responsibility. And when Abraham was old, he said, "O my Lord, make me a leader for those who come after me." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:124. These simple but powerful words reveal a man who, at the height of his ordeal, never loses sight of his mission, his connection with Allah, and his desire to serve not only himself, but all of humanity to come. In this scene, there is a lesson for all of us. True faith is not the kind that unfolds when everything is easy, when the path is clear, but the kind that persists in uncertainty, braves the incomprehensible, and trusts in a plan greater than our understanding. We too, in our lives, are faced with sacrifices, perhaps not as extreme, perhaps more subtle, more silent, but just as demanding of our hearts and souls. The question that arises then is, are we willing to abandon our certainties, desires, and fears to embrace the will of Allah? Are we able to stand in the unknown with the same confidence as Ibrahim? Every act of patience, every moment we let go of our attachments to follow divine guidance, resonates with this same essence of submission and faith. Ibrahim shows us that true greatness lies not in physical strength or power, but in the ability to let ourselves be guided by the inner light of faith, to listen to the whisper of revelation, even when everything in the world seems to contradict this path. And it is this lesson, timeless and universal, that spans the centuries and touches the soul of each one. Faith is measured in the fire of trial, and every sincere sacrifice, every moment of submission, brings the believer closer to inner peace and closeness to Allah, reminding man that trust in divine wisdom is always more solid than human certainties. Ibrahim was not content to meditate in silence or passively accept the truth into his heart. He became a voice challenging the status quo, a beacon of light amidst the darkness of idolatry that enveloped his people. Imagine the streets of his village, the temples and homes cluttered with statues of wood and stone, each idolized image, each gesture of veneration turning people away from their creator. Ibrahim saw the emptiness of these practices and felt in his soul that to remain silent was to betray the truth burning within him. With courage and determination, he rose against the popular tide, defying not only custom, but also those who held power and influence, risking his reputation, his safety, and even his life to proclaim the oneness of Allah. Abraham said, "I have turned away from what you worship." Surah Al-An'am 674. These words are simple, but their power transcends the centuries, for they reveal the essence of a faith that needs no external validation, a faith that refuses to bow to social pressure and the fear of public opinion. Ibrahim did not preach to please or be liked. He preached to free souls from illusion, to purify hearts from the darkness that held them captive. In this struggle, there is a lesson that still challenges us today. How often in our lives do we accept habits, beliefs, or ways of thinking that silently distance us from Allah simply because they are popular, comfortable, or socially approved? Ibrahim reminds us that the truth is not always accepted, and that following the path of light can be supportive and difficult, but it is indispensable for purifying the soul and elevating the spirit. There is a spiritual audacity in his example, that of saying no to everything that distracts man from his creator, that of breaking with collective complacency, that of challenging traditions that oppose justice and faith. We can almost hear Ibrahim addressing each of us, inviting us to reflect. In what areas of my life do I need to break habits or beliefs that turn me away from Allah? What modern temples have I built in my heart? What false gods have I placed on invisible altars of desire, ego, or comfort? His fight against idolatry was not just an action against physical statues. It was a fight against any form of dependence on the ephemeral, against the illusion that power, reputation, wealth, or human approval can replace divine guidance. By confronting us with this reality, Ibrahim pushes us to courageous and active introspection, to identify the aspects of our lives where we may have erected our own modern idols, and to decide with boldness and determination to turn away from them. For true spiritual freedom comes not from passive acceptance, but from the conscious decision to place Allah at the center of our existence, to let go of what is false and to follow what is eternal. And so Ibrahim, through his spiritual legacy, becomes a timeless guide, not a distant hero in the past, but a living force that challenges us in every daily choice, every thought, every gesture, to remind us that courageous faith, the one that defies popularity and ease, is the one that truly purifies the soul and enlightens the spirit. Ibrahim, throughout his life, teaches us that true strength lies not in mastering the world, but in ability to entrust one's heart to the one who knows everything and whose power surpasses all human measure. Every trial he faced, every difficult choice he made, was not simply a test of courage or obedience. It was a lesson in infinite patience, a model of inner tranquility in the face of uncertainty and the unknown. Imagine Ibrahim in the silence of the desert, the wind caressing his face, the sun burning above him, his mind confronted with challenges we can only imagine, and yet his soul remains at peace, suspended between trust and worship, as if every breath reminded him that the Almighty holds absolute control over creation. The Qur'an illustrates this divine promise, revealing the fruit of his patience and trust. And we gave him Isaac and Jacob, and we made each of them a prophet. Surah Al-An'am 684. These words are not just a historical account, but a testimony that the reward of steadfast faith and sincere trust is both spiritual and universal, spanning generations. Each time Ibrahim bowed, prayed, or meditated, he cultivated an intimacy with Allah that went beyond words, an intimacy that transforms fear into serenity, doubt into certainty, and solitude into divine companionship. In our own lives, we face our own inner deserts, silent trials, frustrating expectations, obstacles that seem insurmountable, and we often seek quick fixes or give in to anxiety and discouragement. Yet, Ibrahim's example reminds us that patience is not passivity, but an active engagement of trust, an opening of the heart to divine wisdom, even when the light at the end of the path seems dim or distant. It invites us to reflect. How can I cultivate patience and trust in Allah in my own life? How can I place my fears, uncontrolled desires, and worries in the hands of the one who knows better than I what is right and beneficial? Patience here is not passive waiting, but a vibrant state of heart, a silent dance between human effort and divine reliance. where each moment of difficulty becomes an opportunity to strengthen our connection with Allah, purify our intention, and nourish our soul. And it is in this process that trust becomes luminous, like a star piercing the clouds of uncertainty, guiding us through life's storms with the quiet certainty that all that happens is under the perfect governance of the Creator. Ibrahim thus offers us a timeless legacy, that of laying the burden of our worries in the hands of the one who is wiser, more just, and infinitely merciful, and of learning to view each trial not as a punishment, but as a path to a deeper closeness to Allah, an inner transformation that illuminates our hearts and teaches us that patience and trust, when sincere, are among the most precious spiritual treasures one can cultivate. The story of Abraham, is much more than an ancient tale. It is a light that guides our minds and hearts, inviting us to seek the truth, to be courageous, and to submit ourselves sincerely to Allah. His spiritual legacy transcends time and touches every soul in search of meaning. Thank you for watching this video on Truth in Islam. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment with your thoughts and questions. What lesson do you draw from Ibrahim's story for your own spiritual path?